Greetings, fellow citizens. This is Citizen Kong. Well, it's been a while since I did one of these. My very first video was a rant about a radio talk show host named Michael Savage. Today I'm going to talk about a local radio host named Chip Franklin. He's on Kogo Radio 600 on your AM dial. He was discussing this morning, apparently there's some bill coming up, and I'm sorry I didn't research this, but this has come up before, campaign finance reform, and whether there could be limits on what corporations can spend on a candidate or an individual, what an individual can spend. And he was arguing that there should be no limits on it, and essentially it came down to the essence of his argument was that money is not power. Essentially the idea that a corporation with the money can influence politics, and he said it really comes down to the virtues of the candidate, the politician. Well, that's surprising on one hand, because I think both on the left and the right were dubious about politicians. So I think that was just silly right there. But the idea that money is not power kind of, stuck in my craw. So I sent him an email when I got to work. I can do that now with my phone. And I said it was titled "Money is Power," and I just said, "You are a fool if you don't see it." And surprisingly, he responded. And he says, he came back to me and said, he says, "I can buy a gun for $50 and take away all your money and power." I mean, this guy's worse than L. Brookman, right? I thought that was kind of, it's a little bit violent, a little bit intimidating. And so I wrote back and said, what did I say? Oh, this is not going well. Sorry about that. Thought I had it right in front of me. Well, anyway, we ended up having a back and forth. When he said, "I can buy a gun for $50 and take away all your money and power," I wrote back and said, "So then you agree. Money buys the gun that gives you the power. Ever hear about money fueling the economy? Fuel equals power." I should have said, fuel equals energy. Energy is power. I said, "You sound like a violent person," in typical Citizen Kong fashion. So where exactly, so I asked him, "So where exactly can you buy a gun for $50? My gun costs $300. Do you associate with criminals?" And then he wrote back and said, he said something like, he wrote back and said, "Actually, I stole the gun." And I think I wrote something else to him, but I didn't get a response. I don't know. This is typical. This is typical. I sort of challenged him on his notion where he was saying that money is not power, so we shouldn't have anything to worry about when corporations and individuals can basically buy a politician, get him in office and influence him. I think it's naive and almost stupid to deny that. And sure, some people look at talk radio as entertainment, but here's a guy, and this is so much on conservative AM talk radio, spreading disinformation, confusing people, putting wrong ideas in their heads. I mean, just the simple thing of arguing that money is not power. It was a tragic thing in this country, and it happened a long time ago. But when the corporations started arguing that they, and laws were passed that corporations are basically treated as individuals. They get the rights of an individual, but without the downside. I mean, you can't put a corporation in prison, you know, and yet they can argue that the Supreme Court, this recent shitty Supreme Court, saying that that money for a corporation is a free speech issue. Just like the individual is entitled to free speech, if you limit the amount of money a corporation can spend on a politician, then you are infringing on their right to free speech. A corporation is saying that they want the right to free speech. Now, if an individual, that's a slightly different topic, but an individual wants to spend as much money as he wants to, a lot of money on a candidate, maybe there should be no limit, but I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of laws that dictate what we can spend our money on. I mean, there's a law that says I can't go spend my money on heroin, you know? Even though I'd really like to. No, just kidding. So, there you are. Apparently, these sort of libertarian. I think Chip Franklin sort of thinks of himself as a libertarian. And even though there are a lot of things that I agree with libertarians, there are other things that's way out there in the school of wacko. And saying that money is not power, I would definitely put in the school of wacko. All right, this is Citizen Kong. Sorry about this rant. I should have planned ahead. But anyway, the Citizen Kong. Enjoy the rest of your week. Cheers.